For the first time in 3 years, King Charles agrees to meet Prince Harry again. No media, no script. Just a father and son facing each other in silence. But the cost of this meeting is eternal silence. No memoirs, no films, no more truths to be told. Meanwhile, William, once Harry's rock, learns of the meeting through the press. An old wound is torn open as trust plummets to new depths. Father, son, brother. Each carries a scar, a pain too deep for words. Silence is demanded. Truth is suppressed. And as the spotlight looms, will they choose to hold hands or turn their backs for good? No one knows. But you'll be there to witness it unfold. The London summer sun hangs heavy in the sky, its golden light unable to dispel the stifling heat of July. On the rooftop terrace of the Royal Overseas League, a quiet corner just minutes from Buckingham Palace, the air feels thick with tension. Ferns and pots sway gently in the breeze, as if trying to ease the weight of the meeting, unfolding a clandestine encounter. No photos, no handshakes, no polite smiles. Tobin Andrea, King Charles's private press secretary, sits upright in a leather chair, his sharp eyes betraying nothing, his voice calm, almost emotionless. Across from him is Meredith Maines, Prince Harry's communications director, her blonde hair neatly tied back, her polite smile masking a wary edge. Beside her is Liam Maguire, Harry's UK coordinator, his expression unreadable, hands clasped tightly on the table as if restraining something unspoken. No one takes notes, no one snaps pictures, but the message cuts through like a sharpened blade. The king is willing to open the door, Tobin says, his voice low and measured, each word carefully chosen. But with one condition: Prince Harry must cease all media activities related to the royal family. No memoirs, no Netflix, no further revelations ever. Meredith tilts her head, eyes narrowing as if weighing the true meaning of the offer. So the king wants reconciliation, but doesn't want the public to know he's opening the door. Her tone is soft but sharp, like a chess player, probing an opponent's move. Tobin doesn't answer immediately. He sips tea from a white porcelain cup, his gaze drifting to the lush, green trees below the terrace. The king wants no more noise. The royal family has endured enough damage. Any reconciliation, if it happens, will be done quietly. Liam, silent until now, speaks for the first time, his voice low, with a hint of a northern English accent. We understand the king's wishes, but Prince Harry has a request, a private face-to-face meeting with his father. No intermediaries, no press. Tobin raises an eyebrow, a barely noticeable gesture. A private meeting, he repeats, as if testing its feasibility. That can be arranged, but I emphasize no public moves from the prince. Not a word. Meredith offers a faint smile, but her eyes are icy. We're not here to start a war, Mr. Andrea. The prince just wants a chance to talk, truly talk, with his father. If that means silence, we'll consider it. The meeting lasts less than 30 minutes. No one stands to shake hands. No promises are made. But as Tobin leaves, his steps seem lighter, as if a burden has been lifted. Meredith and Liam remain gazing down at the quiet street below, where black taxis glide through the sunset glow. Will he agree? Liam asks, his voice low, eyes fixed on Meredith. She doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she pulls out her phone, types a quick message, then looks up at Liam. Harry doesn't want a war, but he's not one to easily give up what he believes is right. Liam nods, but his eyes betray worry. So we're walking a tightrope, aren't we? Meredith smiles, a real smile this time, though tinged with bitterness. Welcome to the world of the royals, Liam. Somewhere in Buckingham Palace, King Charles sits alone in his study, his gaze fixed on an old family portrait, a photo from over a decade ago, when Harry still smiled brightly beside his brother William, when things were simpler. He sighs softly, his hand brushing the frame, as if trying to hold on to something forever lost. The meeting between father and son is prepared in secret, like a closed door in the heart of London, a door no one knows if it will truly open. Under the gentle golden sunlight of Montecito, Harry and Meghan's garden stretches out like a serene painting. Orange trees heavy with fruit, blooming rose bushes, and the distant sound of ocean waves blend with the chirping of birds. But Harry, in a simple white shirt, walks slowly along the gravel path, his eyes heavy with sadness. In his hand is a printed email from Netflix, its black and white words cutting into his mind like sharp blades. The story of William hasn't been fully told. The truth about the Queen's funeral. When you broke down not for her loss, but for being ignored. If you don't tell it, we can't move forward. Each word is a hammer blow, stirring painful memories he's tried to bury. Harry pauses by an old olive tree, his hand resting on its rough bark, seeking an anchor. He'd vowed to close the door on the past, to let his children Archie and Lilibet grow up in peace, free from the shadow of the royal family. But Netflix, with its multi-million-dollar contract, is pushing him toward an unavoidable crossroads. In his mind, two forces collide. On one side is his father, King Charles, with tired but sincere eyes in the email, relayed by Tobin's son. "I'm ready to forgive, but you must stop." The offer isn't just a request, it's a chance to mend ties, to return to a family he thought had shut him out forever. But at what cost? Abandoning the truth he's fought to share. Silencing the voice he and Meghan have built in a foreign land. On the other side is harsh reality. Meghan, whose new talk show was just canceled, faces relentless media criticism. Their Spotify deal is over, and Netflix is their last major income source. If he refuses, tens of millions of dollars could vanish, threatening the financial stability they need for their children's future. But if he agrees to keep telling his story about William the funeral, the unhealed wounds, will he still be himself? Or just a puppet in the hands of media giants? Harry looks up, gazing at the Pacific Ocean, shimmering in the sunset. He recalls the Queen's funeral, standing silently in the procession, feeling like a stranger among his own family. William wouldn't look at him. Kate kept her head down, avoiding his gaze. And his father, though nearby, felt miles away. He'd cried not just for his grandmother's loss, but for the loneliness that crushed his heart. Soft footsteps pull him from his thoughts. Meredith Maines, his communications director, appears still polished but with worry in her eyes. She stops a few steps away, holding a cold coffee. "Harry," she says, her voice gentle but firm, "we need to talk." He nods, but his eyes stay on the horizon. "I know." Netflix. Meredith steps closer, placing a hand on his shoulder, a gesture both friendly and reminding. "They're not joking, Harry. If you don't deliver new content, they'll pull out. And we both know what that means, not just financially, but for you and Meghan's image." Harry turns, his eyes flashing with a moment of defiance. "Image, Meredith. I didn't do all this for image. I did it for the truth." She sighs, unflinching. "I know, but which truth, Harry? The one you want the public to know, or the one you need to face yourself with your father?" The question hits like a punch. Harry grips the printed email, the paper crinkling. He wants to argue, to say he has no choice, that the world needs to hear what he's been through. But deep down, he knows Meredith isn't wrong. The truth he holds isn't just his story. It's a blade that could cut deeper into the family he still loves, despite the pain. Meredith steps closer, her voice dropping to a near whisper. "If you have to choose, Harry, what will it be, your father or the audience?" Harry doesn't answer. He turns away, his gaze fixed on the sea where waves crash steadily, endlessly. In that moment, he's no longer a prince or a Netflix star. He's just a man at a crossroads, his heart heavy with unanswered questions. Meredith doesn't press. She quietly walks away, leaving Harry with the silent garden and the crumpled email in his hand. In the distance, the sunset fades, leaving a deep purple sky, like a warning of a coming storm. The afternoon light fades in the study at Kensington Palace, where Prince William sits alone, surrounded by stacks of documents and a cold cup of tea. On the desk, a tabloid lies open, its bold headline, like a knife to his mind. "Secret London meeting, King Charles paves way for Harry reconciliation." The subheading cuts deeper. Representatives negotiate in secret, but Prince William left in the dark. William grips the paper, his knuckles white. Not a word from Buckingham Palace, or a message from his father, King Charles. Instead, he learns of the meeting between his father's and brother's representatives through cheap ink on newsprint. Anger surges in his chest, but beneath it lies a deeper pain, as if a part of him has been stolen. "Harry," he mutters, his voice hoarse, barely audible. "Always you." He stands abruptly, striding to the window, looking down at the garden, where peonies bloom in the sunset. But their beauty can't calm his turmoil. Memories of Harry flood his mind, the brother who was once his closest friend, sharing laughter and pain in their childhood. But now Harry is the one who publicly criticized the family, wrote books, made documentaries, and turned royal secrets into public fodder. And now, as his father secretly opens the door to Harry without a word to him, William feels betrayed, not just by his brother, but by his own father. "Who do they think I am?" he says aloud, his voice echoing in the empty room. An heir who just nods and stays silent. The door creaks open and Kate enters, her presence gentle but her eyes filled with concern. She wears a thin gray sweater, her hair loose. She pauses looking at her husband, then rests a hand on the back of a chair as if bracing for a storm. "William," she says, her voice soft but cautious, "I saw the paper." "You've read it, haven't you?" William turns, his eyes flaring with anger, before softening into unguarded hurt. "They didn't tell me anything, Kate. Not a word. My father, Tobin, even Harry, they're negotiating reconciliation behind my back. I'm the heir, but I'm the last to know." Kate steps closer, placing a hand on his shoulder, gentle but firm. "I know you're hurt, and I understand why. But maybe your father is just trying to do what he thinks is best for Harry, for the royal family, for you." "Best?" William lets out a dry laugh but doesn't pull away. "Best for who, Kate? For Harry, who's made our family a global laughingstock, or for my father, who's ready to forgive everything just to keep the peace? What about me? I have to watch them negotiate as if I don't exist." Kate falls silent, her eyes searching his face. She knows William isn't just angry, he's afraid. Afraid that if Harry returns the fragile balance they built, the image of a strong royal family with William and Kate at its core, will collapse. Afraid that Harry's old wounds, his criticisms, will resurface in the public eye. "William," she says at last, her voice soft but strong, "you don't have to forgive Harry right now. No one's forcing you to. But you can't let this anger control you. You're the future of the monarchy. You're stronger than that." William looks at his wife, his eyes softening but still heavy. "If my father opens the door to Harry, Kate, I'm not sure I can stand in the same house as him. Not after everything he's done." Kate squeezes his hand, a gesture that speaks louder than words. But in her heart, another worry grows. If Harry truly returns, can their family find harmony again? Or is this just the start of a new war, with deeper wounds waiting far away? In Tobin Andrea's office, a brief, discreet call is made. The meeting is arranged. No one else is to know, not even the Prince of Wales. Meanwhile, in Montecito, Harry sits alone in his office, eyes fixed on an email from Meredith about the upcoming meeting with his father. He doesn't know that in London his brother's clutching a newspaper, his heart heavy with silence and secrets. In a cozy room at Clarence House, the light from a crystal chandelier spills across the polished wooden floor, casting patterns of light and shadow. No staff, no recorders, no one but King Charles and Prince Harry. For the first time in nearly 3 years, father and son face each other. No intermediaries, no headlines, no TV clips. The room is still save for the ticking of an antique clock on the mantel and the heavy breathing of both men. Harry sits on a green velvet chair, hands clenched on his thighs, his eyes flickering between defiance and vulnerability. He wears a simple gray shirt, but his posture betrays the tension of someone bracing for battle. Across from him, Charles sits in an armchair, his thin hands resting on the armrests, his gaze steady but brimming with emotion. His perfectly tailored gray suit can't hide the fatigue etched on his face, the toll of months battling health issues and the weight of the crown. Harry breaks the silence first, his voice low but sharp, each word carrying the weight of years of restraint. "I feel like a scar you've hidden away, Dad. You've never really looked at me. Not since I left." Charles's brow furrows, but he doesn't interrupt. He leans forward, hands clasped, his eyes searching his son's face. "Harry," he says, his voice slow and deep, "I don't know how much time I have left. I don't want to leave this world with a rift between us." His words cut like a knife, not for their harshness, but for their heartbreaking sincerity. Harry feels his throat tighten. He wants to believe his father, to trust that the door to reconciliation is opening. But the years of being ignored, of being branded a traitor, still burn in his mind. "You really want reconciliation?" Harry continues, his voice trembling slightly. "Or do you just want to silence me? To protect the royal image, the nation's image?" Charles sighs, a heavy sound carrying centuries of duty. He stands walking slowly to the window, gazing at the garden darkening in the sunset. "Son," he says without turning, "I can't let the monarchy or the nation be torn apart again. But that doesn't mean I don't want you back. I just want a different way." Harry stands stepping closer but keeping a careful distance. "So what do I do?" "Dad, bury every truth that happened. Pretend everything I've been through, everything Meghan and I have endured never existed." Charles turns his eyes sharper now, but still tinged with softness. "You have a right to your memories, Harry, but not everyone needs to hear them. Some things should stay private, not because we fear the truth, but because we need to protect what's left." The words hang in the air, heavy as a verdict. Harry stares at his father, feeling like he's at a final crossroads. He wants to shout, to say that the truth set him free, gave him the strength to leave the gilded cage of the monarchy. But looking into his father's tired eyes, he sees something he's avoided admitting. Charles isn't just a king, he's a father trying to salvage what remains of their family. Silence envelops the room. The palace lights dim, leaving father and son in the soft glow of evening. Harry sinks back into his chair, hands limp as if all strength has left him. Charles returns to his seat, saying nothing more. They sit there mere feet apart, yet an ocean seems to separate them. Outside, darkness falls over Clarence House, and news of this meeting remains secret, like a truth both know will soon be exposed. But in that moment between father and son, there's no press, no Netflix, no monarchy. Just two men with unhealed wounds and a fragile hope that there might still be time to mend. Under London's dim streetlights, the back exit of Clarence House lies quiet, the only sound the rustle of leaves in the night breeze. Harry steps out from a side door, his black coat pulled high to shield his face, shoulders slumped after the emotional meeting with his father. He pauses, taking a deep breath to shake off the weight in his chest. But before he can move on, a figure emerges from the shadows, blocking his path. William, the Prince of Wales, stands rigid, his dark green coat sharp against the night, his eyes blazing, a mix of anger, hurt, and something deeper, almost desperate. Harry freezes, his feet rooted to the ground. He'd prepared for his father, but facing his brother, once his closest friend, is something he's never been ready for. "Harry," William says, his voice low, but cutting like a blade. Why do all this behind my back? You meet Dad, negotiate with him, but not once think to talk to me." Harry looks away, his gaze falling to the glistening cobblestones under the streetlights. He clenches his hands in his pockets, his heart constricting. "Will," he starts, but his voice falters, as if he doesn't know what to say. William steps closer, his voice rising with unmasked accusation. "You think you can come back, apologize to Dad, and everything's fine? You think I don't deserve to know you left Harry? You wrote books, went on TV, told the world what you call the truth, but you never faced me." Why? Harry looks up, and for the first time, William sees raw hurt in his brother's eyes. Not the defiance of a rebel, not the confidence Harry showed on TV. Just a tired man scarred by the past. "I didn't come to you," Harry says, his voice trembling, "because I knew you'd never forgive me." William freezes, but Harry continues, each word tearing through the walls he's built to protect himself. "I broke the rules, Will. I made you explain to the whole institution, the whole country. I get it. I know you've carried the weight of what I've done. But brother," Harry pauses, taking a shaky breath, his eyes glistening with pain. "I couldn't bear you treating me like I don't exist. Not again. Not now." Harry's words hit like a blow, not for their harshness, but for their raw honesty. William feels his chest tighten. He wants to shout, to say, Harry's the one who left, who turned their brotherhood into a public spectacle. But seeing his brother's eyes, William realizes something he's tried to ignore. Harry isn't just a traitor, he's a brother struggling with his own choices. William opens his mouth, his voice softer, but still laced with pain. "If you can't face me, Harry, then no matter how many times you apologize to Dad, it's just an act." Harry goes still. William's words are a final knife cutting into what little hope remains. He looks at his brother, his eyes wavering between pain and exhaustion, then gives a small nod as if accepting a truth he's always known. Without another word, Harry turns his steps, slow but resolute, blending into the darkness of the street. William stands motionless, watching his brother's figure fade. Part of him wants to call Harry back to say he still remembers the days they faced the world together. But anger hurt, and the weight of his role as heir hold him back. He doesn't call. He just watches until Harry's gone. The night wind blows, carrying a biting chill. William pulls his coat tighter, but the cold in his heart remains. Somewhere in Clarence House, King Charles sits alone, staring at an old family photo, where the brothers once stood side by side, smiling brightly. But now the door between them seems closed, and no one knows if it will ever open again. Harry's plane lands in Los Angeles on a gray morning, the overcast sky mirroring his mood. He steps off baseball cap, pulled low, eyes dodging the cameras waiting at arrivals. No interviews, no statements, not a word to the press, a stark contrast to the Harry the public knows. He slips into a car, leaving behind the crowd's shouts and relentless flashes. Montecito awaits, but he knows he's left a piece of his heart in London. Across the ocean at Balmoral Castle, King Charles sits in a room overlooking Scotland's green hills. He's announced an indefinite rest, a move that has sparked speculation among the royal family and public. But those closest to him know this isn't just a retreat. With his health fading, Charles seeks solitude to reflect on the throne, his family, and the son he's just reunited with after years apart. On the oak desk before him lies an unfinished handwritten letter, starting with "Harry, my son." But the lines that follow remain blank, as if he can't find the words. Meanwhile, a leaked internal message from Buckingham Palace spreads like wildfire across the press. No formal agreement has been signed. Parties have agreed to continue discussions, but major decisions are deferred. The diplomatic words fuel debate. Some Britons read it with faint hope that the fractured royal family might still mend. Others, weary of royal drama, scoff, seeing it as a staged move to appease the public. But all eyes, commoners and media alike, turn to an event on the horizon, the Invictus Games 2027, to be held in the UK. Harry's passion project is where he's found meaning and connection beyond the monarchy. But this time, it's more than a sporting event for veterans. It's a milestone, a final chance for Harry to stand on British soil, face his family, the public, and perhaps himself. Or as some whisper, it could be the final chapter for a family divided too long. In Montecito, Harry sits in his study, the window open to the salty sea breeze. On his desk is a draft invitation for the Invictus Games, its familiar logo, a reminder of years of dedication. Meghan enters, her eyes gentle but worried. "Have you decided?" she asks, her voice soft but heavy with the weight of uncertain months. Harry looks at her, then down at the invitation. "Not yet," he says, his voice low, almost a whisper. "But I know if I go back to England, everything changes. For better or worse." Meghan says nothing, just rests a hand on his shoulder, a silent but meaningful gesture. She knows Harry isn't just thinking of the Invictus Games, but of his father William and what he left behind in London, doors opened and doors firmly shut. In Kensington, William reads about the Invictus Games in a morning paper, his eyes cold, but his hands trembling slightly. Kate sits across, watching him, saying nothing. She knows William is torn between protecting his image and the pain of a brother he can't forget. "Will you go?" she finally asks, her voice light as a breeze. William doesn't answer right away. He folds the paper, sets it down, and looks out at the garden bathed in early light. "If he comes," he says, his voice low and conflicted, "we'll have to face each other." But this time there's no room for half-hearted apologies. As a father's pride clashes with a son's insecurities and a brother's resolve meets a sibling's unhealed wounds, the question lingers. Who will bend first? Perhaps no one. Perhaps, like the cold winds sweeping through Balmoral, they'll only wait until time runs out. Do you hope for a royal family reconciliation? Share your thoughts and like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on more compelling stories.